You guys were really mad at these chapters. You guys were texting saying the injustice of chapter 8. It was like disgusting to you guys. Can you explain that?
Stand it.
Why?
Why? Because it was unfair. They kept changing the rules, and I hate that. And
the last minute thing drives you crazy when they send in the last minute.
Yeah, and then they send it to Dumbledore, and they put even later time on that.
But by a happy chance, he arrived at the ministry 3 hours early.
So he can see the future.
He's good.
He's a seer.
That's what I think.
Ooh, we got some Dumbledore being a seer kind of predictions here.
Yeah, I think I've said that before too.
Yeah.
Right?
Did you guys hate chapter 8 for a similar reason?
Yes. Well, yeah, the whole thing just felt unjust. It felt like the ministry has tons of rules about a lot of things, but then they toss the rules out when it comes to something like this. Like, there must be a whole stack of rules, you know, Article 15, Chapter 5, Paragraph 3. There should be like a real process to this. But it seems like there is no due process, or they purposefully left out some rules so they would have the flexibility to change the amount of people. Maybe I'm just used to the U.S. justice system. Obviously not perfect by any stretch, but Harry was going to then have nobody to defend him? No public defender. He's just out there wild by himself. It just made no sense.
Do you think that he would have been acquitted had he had no defense, had Dumbledore not shown up? He would have been expelled if Dumbledore didn't show up?
I think so.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Did they tell us the margins of victory there? Like how many people? They just said like enough people voted in his favor. But I'm like thinking, how many people did Dumbledore sway? And how many of those people were just the quiet majority that would have voted for him anyway? We don't have a way of knowing, but
I think Dumbledore's presence made a big difference.
The presence.
Yeah.
Even just that.
He does have that, yeah.
Because he made Fudge look foolish.
Right.
So stupid, which is great. I love that. I was cheering for him in this chapter because he's like,
awesome.
Oh, Fudge is such an idiot. It drives me crazy. Just his presence alone. And there's other characters like Amelia Bones in this chapter. You're like, she seems like a person who is truly seeking justice in this occurrence.
Yeah.
And she's like even just impressed that Harry can cast a corporeal Patronus, which is what we learned in this chapter too. Which is pretty impressive. So we'll get there. We'll get to these chapters in a bit. People in the chat want to know this question though. I told them ask any questions, and they want to know, what's your favorite kind of cake? It's a great question.
Ice cream cake.
Did they just listen to that one?
He goes Harry Potter world. I'm like, ice cream cake.
Yeah,
That was
ice cream cake
for
is
sure
great.
one of my top 5 favorite moments on this podcast. And Danny's like, I would eat cake or something like that, you know? And then you guys all of a sudden say, how long has it been there? Like a week or something like that? And you're like, oh, I'd still eat it. And Danny's like, hold on, time out. I wouldn't eat it if it was under the floorboards for a week. He's like, that's way too long. That was so funny. That was such a funny
Naked
moment.
floorboard cake.
Also, before we were even like recording the podcast, we talked about a marketing strategy, which I feel like could work really well, that I just want to talk about for a second for live stream people. We should legit send houses Hogwarts letters. We should like write it, quill pens, right? Like, dear.
You've got the calligraphy.
I know, I got the calligraphy stuff. Guys, by the way, on the live stream, if you email us, firsttimereaders@gmail.com. I'll send you merch, and I'll send you a letter, a handwritten calligraphy letter of your acceptance into the First Time Readers. So do it. It's awesome. I actually love doing it. So
Carpal tunnel.
But imagine us just sending out like what is that called?
Like cold calling?
Yeah, cold calling, but with letters.
Yeah.
Just sending letters of it, like acceptance into the First Time Readers. It would probably actually drop
Isn't
our
that
ratings.
junk
People
mail?
would be so excited. Wait, my Hogwarts letter? Oh, it's just some stupid podcast. Are you kidding me?
Junk mail. What the?
And they go on Apple. This person gave me a stupid letter, and I got really excited.
That would have been ridiculous.
Okay, one more question before we kind of just open
every
up the
time I
podcast.
say ridiculous out loud, I change it to ridiculous. Every time.
See, you are that
you're
person.
special.
That is it.
Yep.
Harry Potter is changing
Accepted.
your
No,
life.
it's not.
in great ways.
Well, I can't say
love
the
it.
word serious without
Yeah.
it being serious.
Yep.
I don't think I never even think of it.
Now you will. You will
but
never be able to say
ridiculous.
serious or seriously without thinking of Sirius Black. Let's talk about Dumbledore just very, very briefly in this stretch of chapters. Jen just mentioned you might think he's a true seer. Do you think he's a true seer, or do you just think he knows how to predict things in the future, which is a true seer? Or do you think he just like has wisdom and knowledge to know what's going to go on?
All the above.
All of the above? Do you think he could truly be a seer?
Yeah. Who else is a seer that we've been introduced to?
Trelawney?
Harry.
My favorite.
Harry? Yeah, you guys have a possible theory. I mean, you keep saying, Danny, that Harry's a better seer than Trelawney.
Yeah, he might be. But as I read, I kind of feel like anyone could have a certain capacity to be a seer. Maybe when the circumstance demands it. And Harry has had need of that ability. So if someone else was up in Trelawney's classroom, breathing in her smoky drugs, I feel like maybe they'd be inspired as well. I'm not sure though. So I feel like Dumbledore might to a certain degree, but I don't think of him as actually knowing the future. I think of him as having a lot of tools that he uses well, but I don't think of it as being his own visions. I don't think he wakes up every morning having seen a vision of the future. I more think of it like using pensieves and using these other tools and like, I don't know, what's the one that spins when someone's being sketchy?
Sneakoscope?
The sneakoscope. Yeah, like things like that help give him more information in the moment to analyze what's happening. And he's just experienced with people, so he's good at predicting what will happen. But I don't think of it as being supernatural seer ability yet.
We'll see. Do you think that Dumbledore makes mistakes?
He's
Yes.
human
Yeah.
to an extent.
Is he?
I don't know if we've seen any though. Have we? When he went to London? Was that where he was
That's what I
going?
was just thinking.
But was that a mistake?
Right.
Wait, when he went to London? Oh, yeah.
I don't
He
know.
had to
First
turn
book.
around
book.
halfway.
Yeah, and then he came back.
But how
I
do you
don't
even
know
know
if
to
that
turn
was a
around
mistake.
halfway?
That's what I'm saying. I think he
Right.
knows.
It was
I'm
an
not sure if it's
intuition.
very clear, but I feel like he knows things, or he can see. I don't know. He has some kind of connection, maybe with Harry Potter too.
So do you think that his we're going to get into this in the next few chapters. His just negligence, his like ignoring of Harry is not a mistake. It is for a plan that he has set in purpose.
In this court case.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was doing that to be professional and have. To me, it was to show them that they don't have a friendship. There's no relation, like there's no close relationship. That regardless of what Harry thinks, I want to keep him in my school, even if it was wrong, kind of thing. I think it was more of like professional, like a lawyer coming in, stating the case, and like leaving with no extra.
Drama. Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk about this more. Go ahead, Danny.
I'm getting the idea that Voldemort might be the only real seer, but he maybe isn't a good one, or I don't really know, but I have a
Wait.
feeling he has some ideas of the future, and it's possible that Harry is only getting some of this seer stuff because of their connection a little bit. And I think it's that same connection Jen mentioned last time that maybe is why Dumbledore is not talking to Harry. I don't think it's within Dumbledore's character to just ignore Harry or show up the night before the trial but not actually say anything to Harry, because he was at that house, the Order of the Phoenix. He was there, I think it was the night before, or like very soon before, and didn't say anything. And I think that could only be for good reason. So at the moment, I'm thinking the reasons about Voldemort.
I was going to say what Danny always says. What about a time turner? You can't interact with certain people to change things, right? Or do you see, but he would see him, he wouldn't be able to, because
So
then
this
there would
is-
be two of them, right? A time turner, there would be two of them.
How many time turners are there?
No, I'm
Danny's
saying like
loving
there
this.
would be two
Oh,
people.
yeah, two Dumbledore, yeah.
Two Dumbledore. So then that would be kind of nix that maybe.
Yeah.
Well,
But then that would play into your thing of he's
Danny's
not
got
a
a
true seer, and he
I feel like
just
Danny
did a
has so
time
much to
turner.
say. Sorry.
well, no, I'm just thinking of if
He's, like, itching
Dumbledore
in his-
is Harry in the future, then that would explain why he's, he can't come back.
I think I mentioned this in a previous podcast, but there's a massive fan theory out there. It doesn't spoil anything, but that Ron and Dumbledore are the same person.
Yep.
That Dumbledore is, or Ron is as a time traveling Dumbledore. They're both kind of goofy and aloof. And
Real similar vibes.
He got the.
there's the theory. This is a huge chapter where it confirms the theories. Who is made prefect?
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say that.
By who? Dumbledore makes Ron a prefect.
Wow.
Dumbledore makes himself a prefect. Come on, guys.
Pretty great.
Interesting.
We'll get there when we get there, though. But welcome to the podcast. I'm John,
Jen.
Danny.
And Kristen.
and this is Harry Potter and the First Time Readers. Go check us out on our subreddit, r/firsttimereaders. Email me at firsttimereaders@gmail.com if you want any merch or if you just want to talk about the podcast. Give us a rating and review wherever you listen to podcasts. Go check out our website, firsttimereaders.com. There's all sorts of other stuff. Go support our Patreon if you want to support this podcast, and any of that other stuff. But welcome and thank you for listening, and enjoy this podcast on chapters 7 to 9 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. We have so much to talk about in these chapters, but we're gonna go very quickly through this. This chapter 7, the Ministry of Magic. Can you guys give me a summary of this chapter?
Mr. Weasley and Harry go to the ministry for the hearing, where we get our first visit inside the ministry. Last minute, they find out the hearing time and location have been changed, making them late. I
Perfect.
feel like that was vague.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was great.
Okay.
The chapters open up with this, which is very. I understand this a lot. Harry woke up at 5:30 the next morning as abruptly and completely as if somebody had yelled in his ear. For a few moments, he lay immobile as the prospect of the disciplinary hearing filled every tiny particle of his brain. Then, unable to bear it, he leapt out of bed, put on his glasses. Have you guys ever woke up in dread of something like this?
Yes, but I can't think of anything specific.
Same.
Yeah.
Going to work sometimes.
Every morning.
Well, lately, yes.
I was definitely in college for presentations. I hate speaking in front of people with a passion. So college, you got to do it a lot.
Yep.
There were many mornings for that.
Wake up like you miss a paper or something like that. Your stomach just drops out.
When I slept through my lab in college. I was halfway through and I was in my pajamas. I never was that person that wore their pajamas like out to class. I didn't care. I ran. It was so far too.
Oh, man. Did you make it?
Yeah, for half of it.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember what I missed, but that's the worst in the morning when you're like half awake.
Oh,
like that.
yeah.
But this is worse, I think.
It is truly the worst. It happened to me the other day. I got I got pulled over. It was so stupid. I was on this one little like road, bunch of lights on it, but it was like a highway with a bunch of lights on it. And I'm looking over and I see like a cop is just hanging out there, like right next to the light. And I keep going and I look over at him and then I look back up at the light when my like front tires are on it and it turns red at that minute. And I'm like, I'm just going to go, which is stupid. But I went.
Hello, Mr. Cop.
I went.
Go through the red
Literally,
light.
I got off of the ticket. And this is why I got off of the ticket. I went past it. And immediately when I went past it, I got into the shoulder and just pulled over into the shoulder before the cop even got out. So the cop, I literally was in the shoulder and the cop pulled out and pulled right behind me. And he was like, that was actually like a funny thing that you did. He's like, I usually never get that. He's like, you knew what you did was wrong.
Yeah.
So I had a crack on my windshield. He gave me a ticket for that rather than like a moving violation, which would have sent me to court and all that kind of stuff.
Oh.
So as soon as like I went over the line and I saw it was red, my stomach was like,
Terrible
Dread.
feeling.
But he's so distracting being right there.
I know.
You're looking at him instead of the light, and by the time you look back, all of a sudden,
I was explaining that to him. I was like, dude, I looked straight at you. And then I looked back and I realized it was red.
Like
and I
Floor?
It was a male cop.
Major
so.
distraction.
So they go to the Ministry of Magic now, but what do you guys think of the Ministry of Magic? How do you think it looks? What do you think of the location? How they get there? How do you perceive of the whole Ministry of Magic?
not what I expected.
Yeah.
The above ground part felt really weird. I still don't fully understand it. I meant to reread that part, but it just felt like kind of weird. Like the above ground just didn't even matter. But then getting under, I think the part that was unexpected is just maybe I pictured it more like a boring office building or something. Mm. So then to have it be like full of fountains and like all the magical stuff that actually seems fun, it was just more whimsical. I was like, oh, this is like a cool spot. This is like stuff's happening. Weird things are going on. Again, we've said this many times. Maybe I shouldn't get my hopes up. Excited to see it in the movies. No, obviously they can't dodge this. This has to be in there. It feels like it was fun. It was more like a happy place than I expected. Is
this place really underground or is it like the tent?
Oh, like you end up somewhere else or it's all really tiny. You get shrunk down and it's... Or do you think thinking of it as actually being under there? You don't think of it? No, I like thinking of it that way. Maybe just simpler, but anything's possible. This wizarding world is crazy. But yeah, I like the idea even that they can change the windows, like the maintenance crew. Oh, yeah. They have windows and they like change whatever day they wanted to look outside. So it was rainy for a long time when they were on strike or something.
That was funny, yeah.
I think it's so good.
Oh, that's funny. If
you had control over your window, would you make variety? What would you like? What's your perfect day outside that you would set? Sunny? Always sunny, yeah. Always sunny is a good method.
Yeah, but if you're stuck inside... I'd have to change it.
Oh, it's like torturous if you think of it as being pretty outside?
Maybe. I don't know. It depends.
Depends on my mood. I like rainy days. I like sunny days. I like snow. Be constantly changing.
Yeah.
Actually, snow would be nice. You don't have to do anything with peaceful.
It. Yeah.
Be cozy.
Just look outside.
Yeah.
But
maybe like it depends on the type of work I had to do. Kind of like when I'm listening to music, sometimes it's got to be chill, quiet music. Sometimes upbeat, energizing music. I feel like the outside could be that way too. Yeah. If you could control it, rainy day, slow and steady. It's going to be a long day. Turn that rain on. Yeah, seriously. If I have a lot of work to crank out, just cue the rain, cue the fog. Just a foggy, you can't even see anything. It's also weird. So even just the look of the ministry itself, do you find it odd that there's people who have large or small offices? Like, shouldn't, as far as if you're a magical person, why does Arthur Weasley have a super small office?
I didn't even think of that.
Like, why does anyone need a small office? Yeah. Everyone could have a gigantic office, like the tent thing. Yeah. Any door you open should just be a gigantic, gorgeous office, whatever you want in it. Yeah. You can like be working outside. You can have like, you open a door and it's like a hillside and it's just Arthur Weasley sitting there working at his computer, you know? I wanted this to be like Monsters, Inc., where they're opening the doors to like random crazy places. They don't have to actually be there, but like...
That would be cool.
But it wasn't. It was actually a little depressing. And I was like, oh, poor Mr. Weasley.
Yeah. I feel like that represents like he's not very liked.
Yeah, it just felt weird. I was like, oh man, I thought he sat in a box with the Minister of Magic. What's up? Something's not making sense. So what do you think is happening with the Minister of Magic? We know in these chapters that he goes kind of off his rocker, but why? Why is he so against Harry and Dumbledore? Is it just denial? Is he imperious? Is he crazy? I still think of it as being just fear. Fear of Voldemort, fear of change, fear of losing his power. I very much dislike him, but
He's the worst.
oh man. Yeah, but I'm not sure.
It's such a contrast of when he first met Harry. I forget which book it was, in Diagon Alley, because he was so accommodating and like doing everything to make him happy and welcome and whatever. So I feel like he just sways with the wind. Whatever is going to get him more likable, he's going to dive into.
He mentions that in these chapters too. Dumbledore, or in the next chapter with the hearing, he's like, you cleared him of all charges in the third book when Harry blew up his aunt. He's like, you cleared him of all charges in that instance. Let me remind you of this, Cornelius.
Right.
And then Fudge goes off the rocker and he's like, we'll get there in a bit. We have a lot to talk about in those next two chapters. There's actually not a ton of stuff that happens in these chapters, but I think I really appreciate this chapter because she builds a world that I don't know if we've seen her build something like this quite like this before. I think she's been good at world building in small little ways, but this is where she really expands upon the world. What do you think of just her writing in general here? Do you think that she's getting better as a writer? I mean, we've talked about this question in the past, but do you find
she's getting much better as a world builder? Yeah. I think maybe because she's going in that direction, I'm even not losing the story in a bad way, but it feels like she was more focused on building the world in some of this, in this chapter in particular, than telling the story, because not much progressed in the story. This could have been summed up in previous books in 2 sentences, but it was great for building the world. And because of the size of this book and the current trajectory, I feel like we're going to spend more time here. This is not our last visit to the Ministry of Magic. So it's important foundational stuff for helping us understand the vibes of this place.
Why else would the characters go to the Ministry of Magic?
Well, we've hinted at hearings in the past, and this struggle between Dumbledore and Fudge is just going to continue. And as much as we maybe don't want it to be a legal struggle, it could be, and some politics. So I feel like there will be more hearings, more appeals, more sentences, and some of that dynamic of, I don't know, winning people over at the ministry. But I don't really know what that looks like yet. But the way she set up this world is for that, I'm sure.
The rest of the book, all the books are just legal proceedings from this point on.
But that chapter was riveting, though.
Yeah.
And maybe because it's like good contrast or whatever, or even some of the other chapters with Quidditch, we were like, but then some of those chapters with Quidditch, you're on the edge of your seat. I feel like that's how this was, where it was just written so well. It didn't really matter that you were just in a court case. It was like fascinating.
Just like an extra chapter of her. Essentially, the entire chapter is Harry and Mr. Weasley beginning the journey, like him waking up, going down into the Ministry of Magic, and then sitting in the office and realizing he's late. And then the chapter ends right when he goes into the hearing. Right into the room. So it's just like taking you on a little journey of this little place. It's a little bit of world building for it's a different stride for her, but I really like that. I feel like she's gained everyone's trust in the first view of how she can tell a story really well. Now she's like, okay, let me like build out this world so you can live in it, you know? Thank you, JK.
And in the process, we're learning a lot about Harry.
Just kidding.
I always think that.
What were you saying, Danny?
Oh, just that we learn a lot about Harry.
Yeah.
Like his emotions. That's been a big theme so far. And, we're always in his head, but I feel like in chapters where less of the story progresses, it's world building and Harry building.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Do you find you are liking him more or less?
I think a little more. I don't usually think in those terms, but looking back on it, yeah, I think more. I felt bad for him a little bit, and Kristen is helping me understand him more with her emotional intelligence, calling things out.
Just remember, he's 15.
Yeah. So no, I think, I think I'm liking him more. Jen?
Yeah, I think he feels more like human with like being nervous, gonna get kicked out. What's he gonna do? That's Hogwarts is his life. I don't know if he gets kicked out of that. What does that feel like?
Yeah.
So
He's like a pissy person in this, but you do associate. You're like, oh, I understand kind of where he's coming from.
also, I can't believe he kept his mouth shut in that court case.
Oh my gosh.
Because
that was an interesting thing too. I think one of the things that didn't Sirius say this, just don't lose your temper, don't become angry before the trial. Yeah. And I don't know how Harry was able to not do that. It was such a mistrial. So let's actually go there, chapter 8, unless you guys saw anything else in chapter 7. But the bulk of these chapters, or the bulk of this podcast is going to be on 8 and 9 because there's so much there. So the hearing.
I'm just looking through some of my underlines. A magical promise Harry made here that gets fulfilled later. He said, if I'm not expelled from Hogwarts, I'll put in 10 galleons. He said that to the fountain. And I just think it's interesting. All the proceeds go to, charity, which is cool. But magical fountains, it's like an ultimate wishing well. That's got to mean something a little more in this world. Yeah, so
we'll revisit that in the next chapter.
Yeah.
One of my questions is, how do you think Mr. Weasley felt when Harry drops his entire purse of galleons?
Oh, goodness, I know.
Mr. Weasley is just sitting there like his jaw's dropping.
That's like a week's pay.
Yeah. But they're great budgeters. They're not poor
of course.
Become our headcanon.
But still, he doesn't buy into all that fluff with the fountain. He's like, it's a waste, Harry.
Yeah. One question on the stream. What do you guys think of regurgitating toilets? Which is what?
Hopefully they're clean.
I must have missed that.
That's what Mr. Weasley has to clean. That's where he's going.
Oh, yikes. I didn't even think about that. They were regurgitating
empty or
trash.
full?
Pick your poison.
Empty.
Yeah. Oh, that is gross.
But he seems to be like, who's doing this?
Yeah.
Like it matters.
Yeah. So that's a really interesting point. So Mr. Weasley mentioned something about, do you guys remember what the term he used was?
In regards to?
What they're doing with the toilets. It was a side conversation.
Like a jinx.
I mean, it's disgusting. But it's something called muggle baiting.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like wizards like playing jokes like that on muggles, like bewitching things and fooling muggles.
I say yeah like I remembered it. No, I didn't.
Which is kind of what Fred and George do. But what do you think of the whole idea of muggle baiting?
But isn't it wizard baiting that they're doing?
No, because they're
Fred.
They're baiting terrible muggles.
But they want. I thought. Yeah, well, the Dursleys. Yeah, but they deserved it. Moving on from them, isn't it for a shop for wizards and witches?
Yeah.
To do it to each other and to get out of class.
Yep, for sure. So. But again, they're doing it to the Dursleys. They deserve it. But they're setting this kid's tongue to be a ton. Like Dudley's tongue is massive when they leave in the previous book.
He is a terrible person. He needs some consequences. People need consequences in life.
Yeah, for sure.
Facts.
Yes.
I don't think of it as being that bad. I mean, it's mean, but it's also pretty funny.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it depends on what the consequences are. Like, how bad is it? If you have to do a memory charm and whatever, is it harmless fun or is it a big dramatic thing? I can't tell yet.
But it's the magic world. You just do a spell and it undoes. Whatever. You got the drift.
Okay, there's one more question I want to ask in this chapter before we go on to the next one. And someone came up with this, Juan Rojas, I think. What, out of all the offices that went down, did any particular office stand out to you guys, and which one would you want to work in?
They're all really intense.
Yeah. So,
also, what direction were they? Because I was getting confused. They go down, and then Arthur Weasley's was all the way at the bottom.
Mm-hmm. Second
and
to
then
the last, I think.
They would go back up to the court, or they were going back down further. That's why I couldn't. I'm not sure it even matters, but.
That's an interesting one. I think there's an illustration
on the
in the
fourth
book.
floor, and then he's on the second floor, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't know, I'm not sure that even matters.
It was
But
confusing.
mentally, I was like,
Yeah, just to picture
where
it.
are they going?
Because the atrium was on the top floor, I think, but it was kind of on the bottom floor. I think it was like the first floor, and I think you go down. I think the Department of Mysteries and the courtrooms were on the very bottom floor.
Like basement, we're
I
thinking.
think.
That's what because that would make sense to have the court case and like jail sentence
for
in
sure.
the
Oh, yeah.
basement.
Yeah,
It looks like as they went down, the levels also went down because they passed level 7 and then level 6 and then level
So
5,
it
4, 3.
starts at not like ground 0 and then it goes 8, 7, 6, like that.
This
Anyways.
is side note too. This is a cool little side story that I heard once. I was at touring Harvard school, not to go there, just touring it because everyone goes to tour there. I'm not smart enough for Harvard, but they have a library there that some person built, and they donated a ton of money to the school, built this beautiful library, and their only condition was that you cannot, because they loved how the outside looked so much, the person said you cannot build anything above it, or like on an addition on the side or anything like that. So Harvard, what they have to do anytime they need to add a floor is they go down. So I think the Harvard Library, they carve out like bottoms of this thing, and it's like you have to go down into
to
deeper
Google this.
levels.
Oh
I'm almost positive.
my.
Are
So
you
it's
with
like
me?
the ministry.
No, I mean, I just want a picture, not like
Yeah, yeah.
prove you wrong. Although I like doing that too.
Yeah. They can't go up anymore because of those things. Yeah. Yeah. So they say it takes millions of more dollars to do it, but they have to carve this thing out, and then they put a whole new floor there, and they do that with everything. How crazy is that? That's so nuts.
Millions more.
So to answer our relative
I'm
floor
why would
question,
Mm-hmm.
they do go
Just
up.
say,
Yeah.
ignore it.
So they're starting in the atrium, going up 7, 6, 5,
Yeah.
and then the first floor, I don't know, second floor, that's ground level or something.
Yeah. Someone said the atrium is level 8 near the bottom. Arthur works on level 2, which is near the top. And the courts are on level 9, which is below the
Below
atrium.
the atrium. Okay.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Wait, what?
So it's weird. Like you almost
You
have to
lost
think of
me.
them
We'll
as
go for it
negative
later.
numbers.
It goes
but
1, 2, 3 to 9.
to
Yeah.
9.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
And the atrium is level 8. The courtroom is level 9, and Arthur works on level 2.
Okay.
So he works closer to the top.
Okay.
A little bit more fresh air up there.
He got windows.
Yeah, I think so. He has like a little looking glass. He like one of those submarine things. He looks.
Oh my goodness.
I think Hagrid is breaking rules because it mentioned the department of the ban on experimental breeding.
Yeah.
And Hagrid he's at least coming up with blast-ended scroots. We can assume that was with a stamp of approval. But he's definitely doing this without approval at other times.
You know, he's in the back and behind his house. He has a whole nother like little workshop. He's
Yeah, right.
experimenting
That's right up his
and
alley.
crossbreeding animals, doing weird stuff.
I'm just confused by some of them, like the Muggle-worthy excuse committee. Like, what are they investigating? Muggle-worthy excuse.
Wow,
Yeah, I
these
feel
all
like
went
most
right
of the
over
other
my head.
ones were pretty straightforward. I don't know what an obliviator is. Obliviator
Yeah, you do.
headquarters.
You know what an obliviator is? You've seen it in book 2.
Somebody gets obliviated.
There's a
Obliviate.
spell called obliviate.
And what
does
does it
that
do?
spell? It erases your memory.
Oh, because that's what Lockhart was
Yeah.
trying to do on them.
He was
You're
very
right.
good at obliviating people.
So the
why wasn't he
Obliviator
back?
headquarters
know.
is where people, it's like oh man. So that's what you call in. You call in them when you got a Muggle issue. So Mr. Weasley's like, guys, it happened again. Come
Yep.
on in. Okay.
These were the people that were, I mean, Crouch and Bagman were doing this, but these are the people that were probably obliviating the one person in the Goblet of Fire who had the campsite, the lead person for that. And his mind was like addled because he kept getting obliviated.
Yep. Oh, right.
It's good world building that she's doing though. When I bring the book next time, I'll show you guys like the levels that she created for everything. She like created a mapped out layout of the, or Jim K created a mapped out layout of the whole Ministry of Magic. It's cool.
That's awesome.
But chapter 8, what is the summary of chapter 8? The hearing. Pretty simple one.
All I have is Harry has a trial.
It's good enough. That's
Did
great.
you have more?
I mean, just that Dumbledore comes to save the day.
Oh, yeah.
And Mrs. Fig came as a witness, just like more of the details, but Dumbledore crushed it, and Fudge doesn't care about justice. Madame Bones and the majority agreed with Harry and Dumbledore to drop all the charges.
Okay, first question. You mentioned Mrs. Fig. Did she lie under oath?
No.
Pouring out right now.
Yeah.
Okay, can squibs see Dementors?
I don't know.
Come on, Jen.
You should know this.
Why wouldn't they be able to?
Can muggles?
He saw, or no, he felt it.
He felt
saw
it. You didn't see it. There is some slight debate with this question for whether they can see it or not.
But they have magic in their blood that doesn't work.
It doesn't, no, not quite. It's not that the magic is in their blood and it doesn't work. It's just they're not magical.
Explain it to me.
So there's a different, if someone, I can't explain it to you.
Okay, thanks.
Because I don't want to just,
Ruin anything.
yeah.
And Danny will kill me.
Yeah. It's not really, it doesn't pop up a ton in these books, but I feel like if you guys are in chat listening, you kind of know what I'm talking about.
It's fine. But she was watching him, so that's what I don't understand. She knew something was up, but she couldn't use magic.
Yeah. So she is kind of written on this a little bit because it was a little confusing. And she has come to JK has come to the conclusion that squibs cannot see Dementors.
And Mrs. Fig says, yes, we can.
Yeah. So maybe the explanation is Mrs. Fig might actually be a witch or she's lying under oath.
Harry did say he felt a horrible sinking in the pit of his stomach. Whatever Mrs. Fig said to the contrary, it sounded to him as though the most she had ever seen was a picture of a Dementor. Oof. And Harry's dealt with Dementors quite a few times.
Yeah.
But it does feel like he got a little more convinced when she went on to explain it. All happiness gone from the world. Her voice shook and died. I feel like she has experience with Dementors, even if she hasn't seen them. Maybe she's seen the effects of them. I'm confident she knew Dementors were there. I don't know if she actually saw them.
And she explained the effects pretty well. Like when she started explaining the effects, Harry was a little bit more at ease. But when she explained the look of it, one was rather tall and the other one was rather large and the other rather skinny. Not the boys, the Dementors. That was a great part in it. What do you think of this? We've talked about this, but what do you think of this trial so far?
Like how wildly unfair it is?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't even. It was just so annoying. They just kept changing everything on them, too. And then I was upset at Arthur. He just I forgot until right now. When he opens the door and he just shoves him in, go, you're late. I'm like, why would you just shove him in there? What if it's another Voldemort trick? Like, oh, we sent an owl to your house. It's actually a different location.
Oh gosh,
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't even think that.
And they just shoved him in there and it could have been Voldemort taking him back again. Because who knows what Fudge and him are doing. So when I thought that, I was like, why would you shove? I thought that was going to happen again. Why would you shove him in there and not even check that it's correct?
That's right, because Mr. Weasley didn't even know it was a full criminal trial for the whole Wizengamot until after the trial.
He literally just no, I'm not allowed to be in there. But just look to make sure it's okay. I was shocked. I was like, this is insane. After everything with the Triwizard Cup, you guys are nuts.
Yeah.
That's a valid point. That's a great point. Yeah.
All. So I thought that was going to happen again.
Imagine if Voldemort was just waiting there. Oh, thanks, Arthur. Closes the door, disappears.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, this is a great turn of events. She should have done that.
JK, we'll get you in contact with Jen. You can rewrite some of the story.
Oh gosh, no, that was a joke. No one else thought that?
No.
I don't remember a lot of the first time that I read, which is why I'm doing this podcast, so I can relive through you guys.
Because they said no one goes down there, no one's been down there. It was just, there's a bunch of clues. I was like, oh gosh, Wormtail or Voldemort is going to be in there. And they're just going to take him back.
It does feel like Mr. Weasley must trust the security of this place and the place as a whole because he's been there for so long. A little misguided though. In this,
and then they take
Yeah,
your
'cause things are
wand
changing
away.
now.
I'm like, this is the perfect place. They take your wand away.
gosh, that's
They
right.
took Harry's wand, so he doesn't even like.
So, do you guys think that Voldemort could infiltrate the Ministry right now at this current moment? Like, do you think that? So, Danny, you're saying that Fudge is a bit more just afraid and fearful. Jen, do you think that Fudge is more controlled by Voldemort in this moment?
I don't know. I go back and forth. I go back and forth between him being fearful and then prideful and like doesn't want anything to get out. And then I'm like, but is it possible that he could be in Piers Kurzweil? Because he's such a drastic personality now against Dumbledore and Harry. So I can't really answer. I go back and forth.
Yeah.
But I was leaning in on that when I was thinking Voldemort could be in that courtroom. I was like, oh, they probably just like let him in and like change the time. And I don't know.
Lucius is in there. So in a sense, Voldemort has already infiltrated through his people.
But do you
And
think
Fudge
he
and him
himself
are
would
really
be there?
close.
Yeah. Like, do you think that Voldemort will ever step foot in the Ministry of Magic?
Sure. I don't know.
Do you think he's going to become Minister of Magic?
Oof.
Oh boy.
But like, I just
Things
don't
have to go
understand.
dark to
But it
get there.
seems like no one can touch him. All the Auroras have died. The ones that they were just listing that Sirius
Yeah.
showed a picture, or no, Moody showed a
showed it,
picture of them, and they were like the best at it then. So like, who's gonna stop him?
Yeah.
Harry.
It does feel like Voldemort's move is in the shadows, catching people like at their homes away from other people. It's like guerrilla warfare. So it's hard to picture him at the Ministry right now. But I mean, the battles of these books will undoubtedly escalate. Is the Ministry going to be a battleground in the future? I assumed politically, yes. I have a hard time picturing Voldemort getting in there because I still have such hope for the average wizard. Like the majority of people I'm still viewing as disliking Voldemort and everything he stands for. So even if some could be controlled with fear, I feel like if it came down to it and it was everyone, like in a place like this, he wouldn't be able to do that. But then again, the World Cup went downhill real fast. Everybody was there.
That's a great point.
Oof.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe wizards are kind of flaky about this stuff or really scared of those with power.
So one more thing too. They mentioned something called the Department of Mysteries. What resides in the Department of Mysteries?
Things that cannot be explained.
Maybe
Mysteries. Duh, John.
maybe some of the stuff that Bill finds. Finds it in a pyramid in Egypt, and then he's like, "It's mysterious. I don't know what it does yet, but here it is." And even though he might not know, maybe Voldemort does.
Ancient magic.
Ancient weapons.
It's like, yeah, for sure. It could be that ancient magic that is kind of mysterious that no one really knows about yet. Or they know about, but they just are like studying it maybe.
Right.
And that's the stuff that it feels like Voldemort is good at the ancient magic, but Dumbledore is great at it. Like Dumbledore knows the priori incantatum, and that feels like another ancient thing, next level, deep stuff.
But is there like, like love bottled up in the Department of Mysteries or Department of Mysteries where they're like studying this? Or is there like the sand from the Time Turners like swirling around and they can like study this sand that's specifically picked out? Or I don't know, like the brain of like someone that they're studying. I don't know.
Yeah, you know what?
Nice.
I feel like it's possible that's where Dumbledore was working on the uses of dragon heartstrings, because that would be the kind of thing that's a mystery. You wouldn't get approval to study that kind of stuff on your average day, but that department, licensed to kill, licensed to do crazy things, it's definitely possible. Because who else, of the other things we saw in the elevator, nothing else seems to be the R&D department of the wizarding world. But Department of Mysteries, Yeah. They're doing crazy stuff.
We do have this line, and when they go into the court case, interrogators: Cornelius Oswald Fudge, Minister for Magic; Amelia Bones, head of the Department of Magical Law Enforcement; Dolores Jane Umbridge, Senior Undersecretary to the Minister; Court Scribe, the evil Percy Ignatius Weasley; witness for the defense: Albus Percival Wilfric Brian Dumbledore, said a quiet voice from behind Harry, who turned his head so fast that he cricked his neck. A real practical question of how many times have you cricked your neck? When was the last time that you guys cricked your neck?
Wait, what is cricked your neck?
You know, like you move it really fast and like you pull a muscle in your neck or something. Yeah. Or like you crick it and it's like out of function for a week and now that I'm like past 30, I like do that with my back all the time.
Just wait, it gets better.
Yeah. I was literally this is like a year ago, but getting up from a chair and I cricked my back and I couldn't breathe and I couldn't move. So I was like squatting above my chair for like 10 minutes, just slowly waiting for it to like ease up a bit.
Ooh.
Welcome to old age, everyone.
Yeah, well, I can one up you. I have to go to a chiropractor for my neck.
So you crick your neck all the time.
All the time. I went really bad lately. More recent one was going to get toothpaste out of the drawer in the bathroom.
No.
Yep. That's bad.
That is bad. Mm-hmm. Oh, no. Did you just like look down and it happened?
Like a quick turn because it's like in the center. Like my sink's here and it's like to the right. And I just turn, look down, boom, done. Done. I had to go to the chiropractor that day. I was like, and then he's listing things like people have done before. One time, a lady was a hair dryer. She was blowing out her hair with the hair dryer, pulled her neck, couldn't move, had to go in to see him.
She's just pointing the hair
One
dryer.
guy.
Can't move.
Wait, the other one was even worse. He went to open up a soda can, like a twist off thing, and he went, to twist it off. And he pulled his neck and had to go into the chiropractor.
His neck with that
because you're using pressure, exactly.
As it's twisting, your neck is twisting with it.
I figured the guys could illustrate for us.
Yikes!
Oh wow! I've done that thing where you turn it and it goes hot. It's ow for a second, but
yeah, I've done that.
That's like a normal level. I feel like I've graduated.
Congratulations.
It is the worst when you pull a muscle in your neck or your back. You realize how much you take it for granted.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I still remember one time in high school I pulled my neck, like a muscle on my neck, and I had to play 2 games with a pulled neck. Ooh. And my coach was furious at me, and I didn't tell him I pulled my neck, but I was moving my whole body around, and my neck was just steady. And I couldn't move it. I couldn't head the ball. I couldn't look back. Painful. It was awful. Yeah, it's miserable. But the most recent time I did my back and not my neck I was in the shower and I was turning the water on and I reached down and I turned it on. My back went and I couldn't get up from that position. I just went, and I couldn't move. And it literally took me 15 minutes to loosen it up again where I can move. I thought I was going to die. From literally reaching down and turning the water on.
Oh, man. So you went up to me because you were in the shower.
The sound effects that you make because it hurts so bad, you just gotta
Yeah.
You gotta let it out. I had to let
something out.
Yeah.
Next time, just let the hot water run on it. Yeah. Apparently that helps.
It was scalding hot water pouring down on me. It was,
oh my gosh.
No. Oh my gosh. What do you guys think?
Nothing like that, unfortunately.
Come on, you're 9 days older than me, and I'm experiencing all this crap. Me and Danny's birthdays are very close, so we knew each other growing up. What do you think of Dumbledore's his many middle names?
That made me laugh.
Percival,
the Brian is so random.
That is the most random one.
Why Brian?
Are you are your sensors up? Are you looking out for these people now in the book? Is he named after someone named Brian in the book?
Oh yeah.
Danny's I reread all the books looking for the Brian.
Looked for all the Brians we know. Yeah, it doesn't quite make sense, but maybe it will.
What do you guys think of the people present during this hearing? What do you think of Amelia Bones, Dolores Umbridge, Cornelius Fudge, Dumbledore, Percy, like the main people that are in this hearing?
Amelia Bones is a little weird to me. We like her by the end because she sided with Harry, seemed to be fair. At the least, like, justice mattered. But Sirius mentioned her in the last chapter, said, like, if she gives you any trouble, I'll take care of her. And I couldn't tell if that was a joke or a threat or, like, I didn't know exactly what he meant. So it feels like more will come up with her story. But I liked her in these chapters. I thought she was fair, which was a glimmer of hope on the court. So who was Toad Lady?
Dolores Umbridge.
Dolores Umbridge.
What did you think of her?
I didn't like her.
Why?
I don't remember exactly why, but it just felt like she was being harsh and unfair. I'll keep skimming for underlines here. But yeah, just didn't feel good.
What do you think of Percy in these chapters?
He loves his career.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. Or maybe he's got the Imperious Curse.
Yeah. He could be Crouch. Percy
Which
could be
is-
dead, right? That's your theory. Percy
No,
is
that
dead.
was Danny's theory.
That's right.
I'm not that weird.
Percy's dead.
This
in
could
a
still
ditch
be
somewhere,
Crouch.
and it could be Crouch.
He's been doing the polyjuice the whole
Mine was
time.
just the Imperious Curse.
Yeah, I just don't understand Percy. We haven't gotten a think from him in so long. And I'm just curious what his mindset is and why. Is it really all about the career? Is there other stuff he's been holding in for a long time? I don't know.
There's another longer line in this. I just want to read this to you because I think this sets the stage really well for Harry as well. It goes, the witch with the monocle cut across him in a booming voice. You produced a fully fledged Patronus? Yes, said Harry, because a corporeal Patronus? What? Said Harry. Your Patronus had a clearly defined form? I mean to say it was more than a vapor or a smoke? Yes, said Harry, feeling both impatient and slightly desperate. It's a stag. It's always been a stag. Always? Boom, Madam Bones. You have produced a Patronus before now? Yes, said Harry. I've been doing it for over a year now. And you are 15 years old? Yes, and you learned this at school? Yes, Professor Lupin taught me in my third year because of the impressive, said Madam Bones, staring down at him. A true Patronus at his age? Very impressive indeed. I think this sets the stage really well for Harry that he is truly advanced for his age, in defensive magic at least.
Yep.
And in the next chapter, they talk about this a little bit, but Harry's like, I'm not better than him and then run at any other, like, than anything other than Quidditch, he pretty much says. But in defensive magic, Harry kind of stands alone. He really is an advanced wizard for his age. Because he's impressing these adults who sometimes wouldn't be able to really, like, cast a Patronus, which is impressive.
Yeah.
Do you think that Toad Lady's Patronus is going to be a toad?
It's a vapor.
Yeah, it's a vapor.
She doesn't know how to do it.
But then the way she was saying it sounded like you can change it to be different
Change the
shapes or forms, yeah. And then I wonder if it's always a stag just because it's like his dad. So like that somehow deep down comes out like subconsciously.
Yeah,
Because it's
of-
protection. I don't know. I guess father figure protection. Maybe not. Maybe it's always the same. I know we brought you.
Yeah, we talked about
asked
the last
us
one. It's a really interesting question. Whether it can change or under what circumstances it would change. Any of that kind of stuff.
But at least now we know that there is a lot more to the Patronus, it seems.
Yeah.
There might be other versions. Well, we already know the one that Dumbledore used to send a message. So I'm curious what else the Patronus can be used for.
Yeah. People on the chat just said, Kristen just went to the bathroom, but they said her Patronus should be a fly.
Maybe it's a good thing she's in the bathroom.
Yeah.
She might
keep
throw
that one.
something
Yeah, we'll let
at
her
you.
listen to this one
No, I'm just kidding.
later.
Yeah. Then we have lines like this. I remind you on the night of the 2nd of August. In your admirable haste to ensure the law is upheld, you appear inadvertently, I am sure, to have overlooked a few laws yourself. Laws can be changed, said Fudge savagely. What is your impression of Fudge in these chapters? We talked about that before, but again, how insane is he? Or is he imperious? What do you think of him?
I still don't buy the Imperious. Man, he seems a little nuts. He's losing it. No sense of justice. Laws can be changed. He wants Harry put away at any cost.
And does he? Why really does he want Harry put away? So he's afraid. He fears Dumbledore's coming back. But why does he hate Harry so much?
I feel like he just wants to discredit Harry at any cost. And right now, Harry still has some credibility. But if he could expel Harry, then anything Harry says from now on, he could easily dismiss. So it would be just a good piece of ammunition to fight Harry's narrative, I think. But I can't tell if there's anything more to it.
I mean, again, Dumbledore makes him look like a fool in these chapters. Even when he says, like, we're holding a full criminal trial for a simple matter of underage wizardry. Definitely made all these other people sheepish and made Fudge look really stupid. But Fudge's fear in this instance and what he's actually doing just seems really strange. Why
Dumbledore is so calm.
Yeah.
I love it.
And even like the attack of changing the time, Dumbledore just responds so perfectly in like, well, what a good thing I happened to be here, rather than like saying you changed it. This is a violation. This, some statute, or why in the world would you do that? It's totally unprecedented. He just has like the perfect, calm, disarming response of like, lucky I was here then.
Yeah. All the adjectives that it describes of what Dumbledore did are like cheerfully, quietly, silently, like he's very even keeled in this whole thing. So in that line, he goes, Dumbledore said this cheerfully. However, due to a lucky mistake, I arrived at the ministry 3 hours early. So no harm done.
Mistake.
I love that. And he's just calm and cool under all this immense pressure. And I think it's a comforting thing to Harry, but it also shows who maybe truly is the mad one in this instance. One person is going crazy and they're angry and they're like losing their temper, and Dumbledore is just able to keep calm. It was like an interesting note in this too of like when he was doing that, I was like, how would I act if I was in Harry's position? I would probably be the same as him, furious that I couldn't get a word out and just wanted to say something. And Dumbledore is able to just be calm and command the room. Like he walks in and people still just immediately respect him. Yeah. And like I love his just fun goofiness too. Like he waves his wand and out pops like a chintz armchair or something like that. I think it said like a super relaxed armchair. He just sits next to Harry and just proceed. The trial goes on and he's just doing his thing.
That was such a relief when he arrived. Oof.
Oh my gosh, I know. Did you think that he was going to pop up?
No, it didn't even cross my mind at this point, to be honest. No.
How did you think this trial was going to go? Do you think it was just going to be Harry defending himself?
Yeah, I thought there was, maybe I thought there was a chance another ally would be on the council. I don't know what to call them. Wait, are these all the, what's the thing Dumbledore got kicked off of?
The Wizengamot, which is this.
Wizengamot. That's what this whole thing is. All of these people. I thought there'd be an ally on the Wizengamot, but having him on Harry's side instead was just better for actually making Harry's case. But yeah, I didn't know how it was going to go. Part of me didn't think it was actually going to happen, the trial. I thought something else would come up instead, but it didn't.
It would have gotten canceled or something like that. That would have been nice. A breath of fresh air for Harry. And then this is the final question of this chapter, unless you guys had anything else. Why doesn't Dumbledore look at Harry?
I'm still thinking there's some weird, like if Voldemort and Harry are connected in some way, and if Voldemort can get visions of what Harry is going through or experiencing, whether that's past or present or future, I don't know, then I just don't understand the missing piece of why it matters that Dumbledore is with Harry. Because if Voldemort is getting visions of Harry, and I'm assuming Harry's getting these visions of Voldemort with the corridor and doors and things like that. I just don't get what Dumbledore changes in that dynamic. Why Dumbledore's eye contact or something would matter to Harry. Unless it is a polyjuice thing.
What, Dumbledore's polyjuice right now?
If Harry was using, like, in the future, a time turner polyjuice combo to go back and defend himself at the trial.
He sits next to himself.
He's like, maybe I can sit next to myself, but I won't recognize myself, but I can't make eye contact because under polyjuice, maybe I'd still have my old eye. No, it can't be your old eyes because you lose your, or you get better vision. I don't know. I don't know why he can't look at Dumbledore or Dumbledore can't look at him. But there's a reason. It's not just, in my mind, it's not just like circumstantial, like random in the moment politeness. I do think of it as being something more.
Because Jen mentioned in the beginning the whole idea that he was just trying to act professional here. Do you think that he really was just trying to act professional in like a court case here, like an attorney or like his representative?
I like that he's not professional. Maybe like making the chair appear and just kind of showing up. He doesn't feel like a professional in many ways. It feels like he was ignoring some of the rules and just making his case and being calm, but there wasn't a lot of structure to it. So no, I thought of it as more of a different reason for somebody's safety, maybe even Harry's. There's a lot of, if Voldemort can read minds, could he read Harry's? I don't know. If he's getting visions of Harry, could he read other people's minds through Harry's eyes? It's getting too far.
So is that why Dumbledore is then not making eye contact with him, or not even just? And it's not even only about eye contact. It's about like the whole demeanor. Has Dumbledore interacted with Harry at all in this book so far?
Only handing him a note.
Yeah. And he didn't even hand him the note.
It came through Moody. Yeah.
So is Dumbledore just avoiding him because he doesn't want his mind read?
Maybe, but could Voldemort read minds through Harry? And even if he could, Harry's in the headquarters of Order of the Phoenix right now.
He knows information,
Yeah, like it can't really be that, can it?
I'm taking it as more of an emotional disconnect. He wants an emotional disconnect.
Why is that though?
I can't place it.
That's what I meant by
Yeah,
my comment before.
with the whole professional
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, like he almost wants to sever something. I had a thought and it's gone.
He like wants to sever the relationship that Harry's like his favorite student, kind of.
Maybe he wants.
Has the teacher-student relationship gone too far, and he just wants to make it clear that these are the boundaries? I'm your headmaster. I can't really.
Maybe I think that's what you were saying, right, Jen? Was that kind of where you were coming from?
Yeah, kind of. I think just in that instance, possibly. Like at the court case, that's what I was thinking.
Okay, yeah.
But I don't know about in the whole.
Yeah, I don't know how to word it, but like reverse.
Yeah.
Like to help Harry grow up, or maybe help Harry like become less dependent on him.
Maybe. I don't know.
Or does Harry need to hit more of a rock bottom to shape up? Not like he needs to shape up, but like help him kind of face the emotions he sometimes would bury. It does feel out of character. Maybe that's why it just feels strange.
Right.
But the world's a new place now. It's not the same as the last time they hung out. But I trust Dumbledore all the same.
Yeah.
Whatever he's doing, it's for Harry's best interest. Or I'll say
the greater good or something.
The greater good, even if it's not Harry's greater good.
Yeah.
The wizarding world's greater good.
Yeah. Interesting. Maybe we'll get answers. Maybe not. We'll see. But chapter 9, unless you guys did anything else in chapter 8 that you guys saw. Danny flipping through his notes.
Nope, nothing. Just all my random reactions.
Chapter 9, the woes of Mrs. Weasley. Can one of you guys give me a summary of this chapter? There's a lot that happens in this chapter.
Harry and Mr. Weasley find Fudge talking to Lucius Malfoy after the hearing. Ron and Hermione become prefects, and there's a party thrown for them. Mrs. Weasley attempts to get rid of the Boggart in the house, but is broken down by her own fears of losing her family. Ugh, that was
So
crushing.
sad. I know.
And Moody showed Harry a picture of his parents when they were in the original
Yes.
Order of the Phoenix.
I forgot about that.
Lots to talk about now. But this is one of the first things that happens in this chapter. Harry leaves the courtroom, and then he sees, who does he see when he leaves the courtroom?
Lucius
Malfoy, who goes, well, Patronus Potter. An all-time nickname for this dude.
So
What is with these adults being so condescending
So
to a
petty.
child?
I know. Could you imagine like calling a little high school kid some like cheesy little nickname like this? Like, are you kidding me? It's so ridiculous. What's the best nickname that you guys have gotten though?
I have so many different nicknames. I mean, just like normal, weird nicknames, but Crispix.
Yeah.
My best friend calls me Crispix. I mean,
Really?
Kiki. I was called KB growing up. Kieranst.
Curious.
It came from T9 from the old phones.
Oh, nice.
like it would-
Yep.
It evolved somehow. My cousin calls me that. I don't know. I have 100 million different names.
An old coworker used to call me Death Row.
Explain.
Just because of my first name, last name, started as one thing, grew into something else, and then I think that's what makes a good nickname too, because the people who love giving nicknames, they're quick to let them evolve too.
Yeah.
It's like it just flows out of them.
Yeah.
So I feel like then the nickname always warps over time, and then who knows where it's going to end up.
That's my best friend. She calls my sister Sandwich.
You don't know. Yeah.
That's pretty great.
It like has a long lineage.
Started out as ham sandwich. Again, I don't know why.
This is like the office.
Shortened to sandwich.
And he's like Andy
tuna.
calling Jim Big Tuna. It's like Jim's like, I was eating a tuna sandwich on my first day.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
It's so good. There's
Jen, got
TikToks
any
of
nicknames?
people.
What?
You have any nicknames?
Do you have any nicknames?
Nothing that crazy, except I had one. My cousin used to call me Tiggy.
Oh, that's cute. Tiggy, why Tiggy?
Well, Tigger from Winnie the Pooh.
Aw.
Oh, cute.
Are you bouncy?
I don't even know. I think I loved Tigger, and then my email address had Tigger in it,
Nice.
and then
Yeah, what were all of your guys?
AOL.
AOL.
Oh, boy,
AOL.
AOL.
Message
I had a Pokemon
usernames.
name.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Jigglypuff. That was my favorite one. It
That was a good one.
was so cute.
That's great.
Pink and
Very fair.
Yeah, it turned into, and then my sister was another Winnie the Pooh character, and then it was Piglet, Tiggy, and Roo.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah,
I like that.
I like friendship nicknames, like a little group of friends.
yeah.
I went to school
was
with 4 Jonathans in my class, or 5 at one point.
my
So we were
gosh.
JP, JB, JA, JM. I was JM. And JI. JI was there for like 1 year. But so it was the 4 Jonathans for,
And that was how they nicknamed you.
yeah, then JA left, then JP left, and it was just me, it was JB and JM the last little bit.
Did you say there was 2 JPs?
No, there's just one JP.
Oh, JB and J. I was like, how did you differentiate?
JB and JP.
JP1 and JP2.
But you didn't have any other like weird nicknames from family?
I did. No.
Oh,
Yeah, I had like Johnny. That's not a weird nickname.
like
just
yeah,
like
that's
cute
the
one.
first weird
Yeah.
one.
But I had weird ones. I didn't have a ton of weird ones when I was. Well, I did. I had a few nicknames playing soccer because I was like a weird kid playing soccer, and I would say like weird sayings. So, like
You were doing spells, weren't you?
our coach,
My
pretty much,
goodness.
our coach notoriously gave us nicknames, and anything that we said, he would like call us that from now on. So one time we were like talking about some like play that we were doing, or like we saw someone, he like showed us a video of someone scoring a goal, and I don't know why I said it, but I go, oh my gosh, that was steamy. Like, as in like steamy, like cool. So my nickname,
Yeah, of
My nickname to him was Steamy. So anytime he wrote a starting
is
lineup on the board,
awesome.
he would write everyone's like nickname, and then at the top he'd go Steamy. That was one of mine. He also
a good
called
one.
me the Flying Dutchman. That's another one that I had.
remember that one.
And then when I played college soccer, I got like a few that were related to my last name a little bit more.
Yeah, that's usually
Yeah.
that's what mine was, like Beanie Baby. That was, but it was.
I had
yeah.
Skinema. I had not a lot worse than Beanie Baby. Skinema, and then the other one was Nineveh. Because it just rhymed with my last name.
That's like fitting.
Yeah. Whoa!
not because of like deep dive, just like Jenn.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, I had some weird nicknames.
Steamy definitely wins.
Yeah. Steamy was a good one. I don't know why I said that one day, but and then we have Harry turned his money bag upside down and emptied not just 10 galleons, but the whole contents of his bag into the pool. My question that I was going to say before, how do you think Mr. Weasley feels at this moment? And then Danny, even you want to build off your theory? Do you think that there's any kind of magic involved in this? Like, is he doing some kind of magic that's going to seal something in later future books?
I don't know. It almost, in a way, felt like some of the magic was ahead of time. Like he made the promise ahead of time. If I win, I will put the galleons in. So it almost feels like there was some bad juju coming his way if he didn't put the galleons in, because he made the promise and his wish was granted. That also feels like not how the fountains work. You usually put the money in first, pay ahead of time, don't have a debt.
Yeah.
But I do feel like there's something there. I feel like the fountain owes him, just like Wormtail does. And he paid
like,
more than he owed to
wait,
the fountain.
how would like the fountain owe him?
Well, that's what I can't figure out, why it would. What could a fountain do?
Like, do you think that? So what are the creatures in the fountain again? Do you remember?
So we've got a man and a woman, a wizard, and, a witch, and then 3 critters. A house elf was one of them.
Yep.
Remember the other ones?
It was a goblin and a centaur.
Oh, that's right.
So do you think that these are actual? Is it like they can come to life and maybe they'll defend him at one point or something like that? Or maybe like if he takes a little bit of this water, it'll give him like everlasting life.
I was thinking more about the water having power later, or I even thought of the water being almost like a portal or like a protection or like something, but I can't figure out how that would apply.
Yeah.
I thought maybe there's a chance that there would be another one of these fountains. And then the fountains would be connected and there'd be something like that maybe. But either way, I was annoyed at Harry for a split second because it didn't register why he was doing it. And then I was like, what in the world is he? Oh, right. Because the promise, whatever. Okay, cool. And then I thought, oh, this is great. Harry's just putting the good vibes out there into the world. It felt like a little silly, but I was happy. Like I was proud of Harry for following through, even though in my mind, it's like an imaginary promise to nothing. But it's just like you make a promise, you keep it.
Yeah.
And he said it. He's doing it, even if it felt silly. Even if Mr. Weasley is like, oh, what are you doing?
Yeah, Mr. Weasley's like, no, I can't take this out now.
That's the cost of a new wand. What are you doing?
Right.
But again, they're good budgeters, so the Weasleys are all right. But they go home. They're like hanging out at home, and then Sirius is excited at first for him, but then he kind of slinks into a depression. Do you think that Sirius has a right to be upset in this moment? That Harry is acquitted. He's free from all charges. Like, why is Sirius so grumpy and annoyed? I mean, he's going to be more lonely and he doesn't get a chance to spend more time with Harry, but is he being an adult here? What should he have done?
He should have been consistently happy for Harry that he was acquitted. No
Because he
matter.
wants the best for Harry,
Right.
Yeah.
not himself.
That's
Yeah.
a father figure. So
So is he
not really winning in that area.
Yeah. We talked about this before. He's like more of like the fun uncle. But do you think that Hagrid's more of a father figure? Do you think Dumbledore is more of... Who's the true father figure for Harry in this book? Or in all of these books so far?
Mr. Weasley more than them. Hagrid more than them, but Hagrid's not really a father figure. I think Mrs. Weasley is a mother figure.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think he really has a father figure right now, because I don't think it's Dumbledore. Sirius maybe, but I don't really think so. Everyone else just feels like they're close, but it's not really there.
There's another line in this that I want to talk about. It says they get their letters. They get their letters from Hogwarts, and Fred and George pop into the room, and they go, "We were just wondering who sent us the Slinkard books," said Fred conversationally, "because it means Dumbledore has found a new defense against the dark arts teacher," said George. So who do you think is going to be their defense against the dark arts teacher?
I think it's Snape's time to shine.
Really?
Yeah, I kind of think so. In keeping with tradition, it would be fun if it was some random person we've never met before, which has happened every other book. It could be his time. I started to think it wouldn't be Snape's time until book 7. Or maybe never. That'd be kind of fun too. It's like a little mean thing to Snape. But to do it early and have it be now would be kind of cool, I think. Or at least another character we already know would be nice. Kingsley is somebody we met early on.
Yeah.
Who I think would fit the bill. As the person tracking Sirius, it feels like a good spot to be, especially in his job of tracking Sirius. He'd be near Harry.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of times we get little hints at whoever's going to be the teacher before we meet them. Moody was introduced with the bins thing, Lockhart with the books.
Yep.
It would make sense if it was someone we already met.
Mm-hmm. So Kingsley's your best bet?
Yeah. I don't think it could be Mr. Weasley.
Those would be interesting lessons. All right, everyone, let's look at a rubber duck. Let's try to figure out what this thing does.
Or you know what? Toad Lady.
Toad Lady?
It hasn't been a female yet. And Toad Lady would be a little ominous. She'd be a little threatening. And it feels like she's in tune with the dark arts. So,
but she's like a Ministry of Magic official. So how would that work?
I guess you're right. But I kind of thought of Moody as being that too. Like, because he was an Auror, and Lockhart was still writing books.
Yeah. They could
I feel like, and even we don't really know what Lupin was up to, but I kind of get the feeling there's like a bit of an exchange program with the Ministry, and they're kind of like, yeah, do your thing, take a little sabbatical or go over there. Like, I don't know. They always felt pretty connected to me. But so it didn't feel like out of the realm of
There's also this thing in the books though that happens where Fudge in the trial says, and let's not even talk about all of his misgivings or whatever misbehaving at school. Dumbledore says, "You don't have jurisdiction at my school," pretty much. Ooh, nice. And he like threatens him with that, and then Fudge goes like something like he almost threatens him back, saying, "Oh, like not yet."
Yeah.
So like as wild as it would be, maybe she will be. Maybe Fudge is going to jump into that role. Could you imagine? It'd be great if Kingsley would do it. I feel like he'd be good. Jen, who do you think is going to be their defense against the dark arts teacher? Give me a guess.
Tonks.
Ooh, that's a good one. It'd be great.
She's too young though, probably.
I mean, Lupin was pretty young. Tonks is younger than Lupin, but she'd be good. She'd be a good transfiguration.
John would be going back to school if she
I
was
would.
a teacher.
Yeah. Can't pay attention for some reason in class.
She could turn into Floor, right? I wish everyone just saw
wow,
your
the best of
face.
both worlds here. Tonks is such a cool character. I think one of my favorite parts of all these chapters too is something that you love, is when they're just all sitting at a meal together and they're just like hanging out, and she's just like entertaining the group in a really great way. I think she's great.
Yeah.
She's got a good personality.
She is fun.
Then we get some drama that happens in these chapters. We go, "What's up with you, Ron?" asked Fred. Ron did not answer. Harry looked round. Ron was standing very still with his mouth slightly open, gaping at his letter from Hogwarts. "What's the matter?" said Fred impatiently, moving around to look at Ron over his shoulder at the parchment. Fred's mouth fell open too. Prefect, he said, staring incredulously at the letter. Prefect. Should Ron have been made a prefect? So, out of the 5 boys in Gryffindor, Neville, Harry, Dean, Ron, and Seamus.
There's only 5?
It's the Gryffindor boys. And
I
their
thought that
year.
was just the ones they talk about.
It is really the ones they talk about, but I think that's the only 5 that we have in Gryffindor in that year. Out of those 5.
Neville should have been, because he tried to stop them in book 1 or 2. Remember?
Yeah, okay. He's kind of like a rule follower a little bit.
Ron, I don't know. I think it's great because he finally got something
Yeah.
he can brag about. Maybe Dumbledore did that to keep Harry and Hermione in line too.
I can't tell if this is connected to Dumbledore distancing himself from Harry for emotional reasons. If he's like trying to humble Harry or like put him in a certain place for the future. But for the sake of Ron, I do like the call.
Yeah.
I love
Feels
it.
good.
Are prefects picked based on your behavior or to push you into potential?
I think more behavior. I think it's like, because we get the conversation with Sirius, James, and Lupin, who was the prefect out of them. And they asked Sirius, and Sirius is like, no, of course I wasn't. And James wasn't either. It was Lupin. Lupin, he was like the rule follower, they said.
Oh, right.
So, I mean, Hermione is the most brilliant student in the entire school. So it's obvious that you would pick her. But she's also a rule follower. So that's why you kind of would pick her as well. I think it's kind of the person that's going to maintain the order in the school. And I don't know if Ron is necessarily that person, but I love that he gets it.
No, it made me happy.
This is like a good little Ron moment to shine.
I just feel bad for him because everyone keeps like giving him a hard time.
I
I'm like,
know.
takes away from it.
There is an all-time, one of my favorite lines in the whole book, though, is it goes, Ron held up his badge. Mrs. Weasley let out a shriek just like Hermione's. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Oh, Ron, how wonderful. A prefect. That's everyone in the family. What are Fred and I? Next door neighbors? Said George.
Wait. So it was all
So
the other brothers?
Yeah. Bill, Charlie, and Percy were all prefects.
I feel like Ron's similar to Bill in some ways. So it's kind of cool that like other prefects were not all just Percy's, you know?
Yeah.
Because Percy is...
Percy, we don't even want to talk about Percy. Miserable.
There was a funny line here where it said Harry found himself daydreaming about Hogwarts more and more. I wrote story of my life.
I know how you feel. You really know how Harry
I
feels.
related to Harry in that moment, you know?
That's great.
Yeah, it's funny. Ron, like, I think if you just watch the movies and you like know this part that Ron becomes prefect, you're like, Ron is an idiot. In the books, he's a little smarter, but it also like Neville has accolades for him, but I feel like Harry really should have been the one. That was it. So I feel like kind of what you're saying, maybe there's some reason for Dumbledore doing this, but I love that Ron is able to get it. And there's another moment in this chapter where he's able to get a gift. And Ron wants a broomstick as a reward. So do you think that he's going to like try out for the Gryffindor Quidditch team? Do you think he's any good at Quidditch? If you were to rate Ron on a scale of being good at Quidditch, like, is he going to be good? What's his best attribute? What's his worst attribute? What position is he going to play?
I think he'd have to be keeper.
Okay.
I don't feel like he'd be very good on a broom. We haven't seen him on a broom like even once, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, Harry was a natural. He picked it up real fast. He was on the team after riding a broom like once. So that's something. Okay.
After McGonagall wanted to settle her gambling debts. She
So
wanted to
maybe
put
Ron would be
everything
the
at
same
ease.
way. Maybe he really is a natural.
Yeah.
He's never even had a good broom. Oh, that'd be really cool for him to be on the team. But I can't imagine him doing one of the real flying intensive jobs.
He just sits by the hoops. Jen, do you think he'll be any good?
No, I feel like he's like a super fan,
Yeah.
and like you don't have any skill.
Do you think
Yeah.
he'll try out still?
I didn't know there were tryouts.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
good point.
I don't think we've had
It's kinda
tryouts really in
assumed,
any of the
but-
books because the we didn't have it in the last book, but in the first 3, the Quidditch team was the same exact Quidditch team. They had no need of tryouts. but Wood just graduated in his third year, or in Harry's third year. And then I don't think they don't have any more. They just are in need of a keeper because Fred and George, and then Angelina,
nice.
Katie Bell, and Alicia Spinnet. Wow. I always forget Alicia Spinnet. But
Poor Alicia.
who do you think is going to be the captain of the Quidditch team? Do you think Harry's going to be made captain? Do you think one of the others are going to be made captain? Fred or George?
Ooh. Harry
I
should.
feel like Fred and George are good, like camaraderie, like bringing a team together. So maybe one of them, both of them.
Cause a little rivalry if just one of them.
But also, don't you think the twins and Harry would have been like, hey, Ron, you should come try out because you're so great at X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So that's why. I don't
Weird.
think.
Maybe I'm not being fair to Harry, but I pictured it leading to more conflict than happiness a little bit, where I was like, the twins would be like, Ron, what are you doing here? You're terrible at this. Like, get out of here. Or Harry would be jealous. Because I also kind of pictured Ron becoming the captain. If it was Dumbledore pushing for this prefect captain, let's elevate Ron and humble Harry. Again, I don't know why that would be the case. But man, that'd be great, actually. If Fred and George were just getting psyched. Ron, join the team. We need you. You're our only hope.
I'm saying that they're not doing that because he's not good.
Oh, you're still thinking he's bad?
Yeah. He's tall and lanky.
Yeah, true.
They're not
true.
always good athletes.
That's very true. Very, very true.
I
learned that a
hope
lot from sports.
he would at least know the game pretty well from watching it so much and being such a fanboy. It certainly doesn't mean he's good at it.
Yeah.
He's got a mind for the game, I'm assuming.
For sure. Definitely has a mind for it. Maybe he's not the best flyer, so maybe. But why do you think Harry is truly really bummed that he didn't get to be made prefect? Because he's like battling in his mind over his happiness with Ron versus his disappointment at not being made prefect. What's the real reason why he's upset that he didn't get made prefect?
Because he's good at everything, so he should always get everything.
Yeah.
That's what he thinks,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Does he feel like Dumbledore's teacher's pet? Like, you know, he's like got this in with him.
Yep.
So it's like, oh, I'm just a shoo-in. That's how I was taking it.
Yeah. Like it would just hurt that he's like, but Dumbledore didn't choose me after all we've been through.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do feel like this is one of the more complicated moments that we get Harry in because he always wants to fade into the background. He never wants the fame. He never wants glory. He's like a pure of heart person. But at the same time, he's a human and wants to compete with Ron and wants to be better at Ron than everything. And in his head, he's like, I'm better than Ron at everything except for like chess, you know? He has this in his head that he deserved it, that he should have gotten it. So I feel like it's showing us a more multifaceted Harry, which I really like. But we get another all-time line when it goes, Harry noticed that Ron kept moving his prefect's badge around, first placing it on the bedside table, then putting it on his jean pocket, then taking it out and lying it on his folded robes, as though to see the effect of the red on the black. Only when Fred and George dropped in and offered to attach it to his forehead with a permanent sticking charm did he wrap it tenderly in his maroon socks and lock it in his trunk. Fred and George are so great in these chapters. I love that. Have you ever been really bummed that you weren't chosen for something? Like, do you know what Harry's feeling in this moment?
You look like you have a story.
Yeah.
I know, but it's like, I don't want to say it.
Why?
Someone else can go first.
I was really bummed when I wasn't made captain on my college team. So it was like really petty. And now looking back, I don't care about it at all. It's like the most stupid thing in the entire world.
Yeah, but in the
moment, I was
it's like everything.
Yeah. And like, it was annoying too, because everyone on my team expected that I was going to be named, because I wasn't the best player on the team, but, I was like I was like close. I was kind of like the leader on the team. I started when I was a freshman, like kind of grew into this role. So my junior and senior year, I wasn't made captain either time. the coach did have a vendetta against me. He just didn't like me. I had a great coach my freshman year, and then my last 3 years, he just didn't like me that much. But he didn't name me captain. He named 2 other people captains. Two of my good friends on the team, which they were great, and I loved them. But even one of them, when he was named captain and I wasn't, he came up to me. He's like, "This is stupid." He's like, "People respect you on the team more than they respect me." So he's like, "I don't know why I'm given captain, but I don't care." Mm-hmm. And now looking back, I don't care about it at all. It's like the stupidest thing. But in the moment, I was like, "Oh, that sucks." So petty. Do you guys
No, but
have
that relates so well to like this dynamic with the friend. And,
I know,
oh man,
right.
Oof.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've got stories in the archives somewhere.
Yeah, I'm digging around.
None
for
are
all the
coming to the
rejections.
forefront right now.
Any like dance recitals that you weren't picked for or anything like that? You were picked for all of them.
No, there was one thing. I forget when it was that I wasn't picked for. I won't go into details, but yeah, that bummed me out.
Yeah, it does stink not getting picked. I'm thinking back to Miss Reitzel in elementary school.
Oh, we're very specific.
I wanted to go into the cool kids choir because my friend Freddie was in there, and I was like, "Oh man, what am I going to sit over here with the losers? Nah, I want the cool kids choir." And then I forget what the tryout was. I just remember it was at the piano and she was doing stuff, and then we had to like sing along with it. And afterwards, she's like, "Yeah, nah." I forget how she said it, but it might as well have been that. And I was like, "All right, cool." I guess singing's not gonna be my thing.
I do remember that because singing wasn't my thing either, and I lost to Ben. Oh, I shouldn't say his name. Ben. If you ever listen to this, Ben.
Selling them out.
I know.
Throw 'em right under the bus.
Classic.
What about that story?
Yeah, your
Jen?
story or no?
Wow, so it just sounds terrible. It was middle school. They had superlatives. And your grade voted for like who is best, whatever. And at the time, clearly not now, it was best dress that I was like nominated for. And all the girls I knew, they're like, "Yeah, Jen, I voted for you, blah, blah, blah." But I didn't have any guy friends, and all the guys voted for this other girl.
No.
And when I saw it, oh my gosh, I was like, everyone voted for me. They told me. And I was like, okay, that sucks. People would come up and be like, "I voted for you." And yeah, it's not her. Those were nice pity things.
But you can like leave that and you're like, I
was so
dress
funny.
better than her.
Yeah, look at her now. What a loser. I follow her on Instagram.
That was so dumb.
Yeah.
Those days were gone. I like sweats now and scrubs.
Comfy is gold.
Do you think Harry would have made a good prefect anyway?
I don't know what their role is really. I don't know.
I feel like
I mean,
they're
don't you have
like
to like, pay attention to
RAs.
other people? I feel like he's so self, like in
He's
his
in his own
bubble,
world.
kind of.
Yeah, it's very true.
I feel like he's never around either. So why
Yeah.
would he be
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aren't they like RAs?
Yeah, kind of
Well,
like
that's
that.
what I was thinking.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
So I don't know why you'd be upset. I feel like that's another responsibility you don't want.
Yeah.
And I hope he doesn't try to be captain either. He's got too much going on. Just like don't take on more. Take on less. You
Just
need
have
some
a
time for
relaxed year,
yourself.
Harry.
Yeah,
That's
like
what you need. A relaxed year.
chill a little bit.
Yeah. So there's a few more small questions and then we'll end. Moody is asked if he can go check out what is in the cupboard up there, the desk in the corner. And he recognizes that it's a boggart. What do you think Moody actually sees?
Ooh.
Because we don't know what a boggart's form looks like.
And is he one of the few people who could see it in its real form because he can see it before it sees him?
Yeah, probably.
I'm thinking of like Flubber.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Yeah. Like just this little goo right there. Like Ditto, the Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking,
Yeah, that's
like,
definitely.
We were all thinking that. A mini Ditto.
yeah. I was picturing something black. What is, like, I can't think of what I'm actually picturing. It's like a cartoon, but like this like thing. I don't know why.
I mean, that made me think of like another Pokemon of like, I don't know. There's like one that does that, I think. Some mud Pokemon. I wonder what he would see, though. It would probably be a pretty intense... Would it be Voldemort or someone else, like some dark wizard? He's been...
The mud Pokemon is Muck.
Muck. Nice name, Muck.
Muck.
Yeah, well, either way, it's got to be a Pokemon.
What is that? Is it in that movie Snow White and the Seven Huntsmen? Isn't there like some like silvery? Does she like disintegrate into some silvery goo type stuff?
I saw the movie
like
a
when
while
you said
ago. I feel
goo
like
or something.
I imagine too. Have you guys seen Lost?
Yeah.
No.
Like the black smoke.
smoke.
In the first
Yeah.
season, like that. Just a small little version. It's like just black smoke, and it can be become anything. Great. First season was so good at that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then it just went to crap.
That last season
There were a
was
couple
terrible.
seasons that
Yeah.
I enjoyed.
Yeah.
It's a little locked in.
Yeah. Yeah, people are saying Moody should write a textbook on this. Then Moody also does something interesting that Danny mentioned in the beginning. He gives Harry this picture of the original order. A few sub questions on this. He mentions a few of these people. And did any of these people stand out to you? And who would you want to have like a side series on? Because some of these characters are really cool. And we are only in Harry Potter's world, but like, I think I want like the backstory of Tonks. Give me like I want JK
Like, give me everything.
to
about
write
that.
a story, a 7-book story on every single character in this book, please. Oh my gosh, please. There's actually a big question. I think I asked you this a while ago before. There's a big question that Harry Potter fans love is from which character would you want to have the Harry Potter books rewritten from, rather than Harry? And it's such a good one. We'll talk about that at the end of the entire podcast. But yeah, there's a few different people mentioned. Let me try to find some of them.
Marlene McKinnon.
Yeah, Alice.
Frank and Alice
yeah.
Longbottom.
Emile Vance, you've met her. And there's Lupin, obviously. Benji Fenwick, he copped too. We only ever found bits of him. Shift aside there. And then he added poking to the picture, and all these people moved aside. That's Edgar Bones, brother of Amelia Bones. They got him and his family too. He was a great wizard. Sturgis Podmore, blimey, he looks young. Caradoc Dearborn vanished 6 months after this. We never found his body. Hagrid, of course, looks the same as ever. Elphias Doge, you've met him. Gideon Pruitt, took 5 Death Eaters to kill him and his brother Fabian. They fought like heroes. Dumbledore's brother, Aberforth, I only met him one time. Strange bloke. That's Dorcas Meadows. Voldemort killed her personally. Sirius, when he still had short hair. I think he mentions a few other random people, but that's pretty much the bulk.
And Aberforth.
Yeah.
Dumbledore's brother, I feel like, would be a solid side series. Of course,
Yeah.
I'm inflating it a little in my head about what he's up to. Could be a
With
little
goats.
bit weird with the goat stuff. But the rest of it, I'm just like,
Read about that.
I'm like, he probably had a really weird upbringing, and I just want to learn more about Dumbledore. So if we could learn that through his brother, totally cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be fascinating.
But the one that Voldemort killed personally, I'm like, ooh, why? Personally, what was it
Yeah.
about her that was so intense?
Yeah, and the person that it took 5 Death Eaters to take
think
the
that would be
brothers,
cool.
that'd be a really cool series.
Yeah.
Huh. The brother of Amelia Bones. Interesting.
And I mean, we saw her in the trials, like she's like iffy. I mean, but she was kind of someone seeking justice. She was trying to figure out what was going on. Mm-hmm. So she seems like okay. So we'll see. But it's interesting. Would you feel like Harry in this sense of like almost disgusted at this picture, or would you like it? Like seeing all these people, seeing your parents again, seeing them fighting this battle?
I had a hard time understanding Harry's perspective in this. Kristen, what was Harry thinking?
I just like opened.
I'm
the
terrible
book
at
'cause
this.
I was like, shoot,
yeah, I don't know.
I
Something
forget.
Because he was essentially
you seen
saying
it all?
he seemed bothered, but I couldn't understand why.
I think he seemed bothered because it was like a death certificate. He was like, all these people essentially died because of Harry. So I think he feels immense guilt over that. But at the same time, he's looking at all these people that he loves right now in the current Order of the Phoenix. And just like Molly Weasley's fear of like seeing all these people dead, I think his fear is like all these people that he loves are going to die because of him. Because of
Right,
something that he
right.
doesn't want at all. Like he's looking at all these people, he's looking at his parents, and he's looking at what all these people gave up, and really it all culminated in him. Someone just mentioned this. This is a really cool backstory. Fabian and Gideon Pruitt were Molly's brothers, and they were twins, making people think that Fred and George were actually named after them in a roundabout way.
What?
Like F and G.
Oh my gosh.
That is so cool. Wow, that's wild. But going back to that, I think that's why Harry was really bothered in this. He was looking at all these people who had died, pretty much.
It's weird that he even said how they died.
Yeah.
As he's pointing them out.
Yeah.
It's kind of.
I feel like that is maybe what sent Harry into a spiral.
Yeah.
That's what I was
Moody is not very sensitive about that stuff. Yeah.
Because it's like his parents too. So it's like your emotions are going to be all over the place anyway.
Do you think that if Sirius gave him this, what do you think Sirius's response would be if Sirius were to give him this piece of paper, this photograph?
I don't think he would.
Really?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought he was upset when he's like, "What is that, Moody?"
Yeah.
And they wouldn't tell him.
Yeah.
Right? He didn't tell him what it was. He put it
Or
away.
Harry left right as soon as he
or
said
something
that.
like that.
Yeah.
So to me, that was like he wouldn't do that. And they're live photo, like it's a live photo, right?
Yeah. Which is
Yeah.
haunting. There's one other question that I have for you, but anything else that you saw in these chapters?
I thought it was funny when Mrs. Weasley said, or a new rat, you always liked Scabbers. I was like, do they seriously still not know the whole thing? Like, they at least know Scabbers is dead now, so that's something. Or he's not in Ron's life. But I just read that. I was like, what the?
Wait, do they not know?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean,
For her to bring it up like this, she's just like, you always like Scabbers.
Yeah.
Like, if she knew the whole story, I feel like she would have said it differently.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you always liked your rat or something like that.
yeah, like
Not
it just felt
Scabbers
like,
by name.
yeah, to like bring him up so casually. Like, it almost made it sound like Ron had told the story of Scabbers running away.
Yeah.
Rather than Scabbers died. Because even then, I think Mrs. Weasley would have been more sensitive to it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just funny.
That is, that's hilarious.
And in contrast to the humor, I don't think Harry has processed his parents' death yet. Though the way the picture like upset him when he walked away thinking about his parents, he was like in pain. Because I think he had like a certain image of his parents' death. And as time goes on, it's becoming more and more like real.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's taking enough time to process, or not in a harsh way, but like with Cedric and everything else that's going on, it's still a bit of a whirlwind. And he was focusing so much of his energy at the Dursleys into figuring out what Voldemort was up to that he wasn't really taking the time to like grieve and process and move on. And I think he's still in that a little bit.
Yeah. So speaking on that, this is the final question that I have for you guys. Molly Weasley sees all these people that she loves dying, and that's her greatest fear. And she says stuff like this, like half the family's in the Order. It'll be a miracle if we all come through this. It's almost like an ominous note. And Moody giving him the picture and seeing all these people die. I think maybe my question for this, and Danny talked about this before in the previous podcast, where we're thinking either Molly or Jenny might die. But do you think anybody's going to die in this book? And who do you think is going to die in this book? If anybody's going to.
Yeah, somebody will.
Who?
I don't know, but I think
Throw out some names.
I'm thinking it's going to be someone closer to us than Cedric. There is going to be an escalation in Voldemort and his display of things. I don't want it to be Mrs. Weasley. I don't really think it will. I think one of the other people at that table is going to die. Maybe Dung, maybe Tonks. And then I think somebody else closer will. Could be Mrs. Weasley. I'm trying to think of who else would be close, which would hurt, but not core people.
Yeah.
Moody could die. That would be... If we get to know Moody a little more by the end of the book, that would be reasonable. But it wouldn't be painful enough yet.
Yeah.
This book does have a bit of a dark tone so far.
Who would be the most painful person to die, other than maybe Harry?
The core crew would be the most painful. Any Weasley would be pretty painful.
Yeah.
Except maybe Percy.
We are praying for that.
Lupin, Sirius, they would both be pretty rough.
That'd be devastating.
Yeah, I don't know.
Jen, what do you think? Give me a few names of someone who you think is going to die.
I don't like this question.
I know. I'm sorry.
What if it's like Arthur Weasley, maybe? That one would suck, but I would feel a little bit less. What am I trying to say? Than Mrs. Weasley.
Yeah.
I'd rather it be Mr.
Yeah.
than Mrs. That's it. I don't want to think of anyone else. It's probably someone though that would be more painful than it has been.
And no one could die in this. It could be great. No
Yeah,
one.
right. I don't believe you.
Why? Yeah, right.
You're
Someone's
really
already died.
convinced that someone will?
Yeah, because I feel like each book has been like leading up to like the end of this series, and I feel like everyone dies except one person or something.
Everyone's going to die except Harry.
My.
Yeah, or maybe Harry dies with a bunch of them. I don't know how it ends.
Man.
I'm thinking Lord of the Rings
Yeah.
in a way.
Maybe it's the calm
before.
before the storm.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, but you just said it's a
we'll
dark tone book, so
Yeah, but
How
I
would
think the
no one-
grief or the darkness is being felt without death here. It's the fear of what's to come. So I just don't know if the end result is going to happen in this book or the next.
Yeah. And Rowling is a master at that. And one of the most triumphant moments that we feel in the previous book, someone dies. So maybe in a dark book that she's writing a really dark tone on, she's leading you astray, making you think that someone's going to die and no one's going to die. Let's all cross our fingers.
Yeah.
No one die. Come on.
I could see Bill or Charlie dying. Maybe that would bring Percy
No.
back.
But then Floor Floor's available. All right.
Wow, that was a quick turnaround for you.
Sorry, Bill.
Supports that.
Actually, Charlie is out in Romania, Eastern Europe. That's Voldemort's territory out
Yeah.
there.
Romania, Albania. Yep. Let's go into House Cup winner. Who won the House Cup in these chapters? These three.
I want to give it to Dumbledore.
Yeah.
I went back and forth because I'm like, I don't like that he's ignoring Harry, but
Yeah.
he was
Yeah.
phenomenal in that trial.
Yeah, he was a rock.
I want to give it to Ron later for his prefect stuff. He didn't he earned it, but he didn't earn it yet. This is just but yeah, Dumbledore.
What do you got, Jen?
It would be the same, but I want to be different. So I'm trying to think.
I'm going to give it to Ron. Made a prefect.
Nice.
Mrs. Weasley. I don't know.
Yeah, she's a good
There you
one. That's a great
I like
one.
that.
She's holding this house down.
Yeah, 100%. And you see
She's
like
feeding everyone.
yeah,
What is she making?
she's making
just
meatballs.
It said that.
Yeah, because Mr. Arthur invites
Oh yeah.
Kingsley over because Molly's making meatballs tonight. If you want,
We should have brought
Swing
that
by.
for our food tonight.
I know. Shit, dang it. We haven't done food in a while. I got to start bringing that back. And then, what's your favorite moment in these chapters?
When Dumbledore shows up at the court case.
Yeah, just slam dunks on him.
Yeah.
I actually went back and forth between that and Ron becoming prefect.
Yeah,
I have them both written down.
Great
I was
moments.
like, I don't know. Just two favorite moments.
Dumbledore striding serenely. Yeah, that was great. That was my favorite.
yeah. And it's good how these are some of the most frustrating chapters where like this trial sucks. But I have so many favorite memories in these chapters. There's so many great things that happen. Like Fred and George and their comedic relief and all this. Like, who are we,
Yeah.
next door neighbors? Like
Yeah,
the
that was
party
good.
that they're having is great. Like even his conversations that he has with Sirius, I love. Yeah, those are great moments. But Dumbledore slam dunking on Fudge is an all timer. I love that moment. So, but thanks for joining us on our journey of Harry Potter and the First Time Readers. On behalf of Jen, Danny, Kristen, and John, me, I just want to thank you, and we all just want to thank you for listening to this podcast. We are being listened to all over the world, and we are just humbled and so grateful for people who are actually tuning in and listening to this podcast and supporting us in any way. It really means the world to us, and we just want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts.